Welcome to the Crossview Commons, a brand new podcast focusing on the ministries, ministry partners, and the people of Crossview Church. My name is Ryan Anthenat, and it's my pleasure to share with you what God is doing in and through Crossview Church in DeKalb, Illinois. And today it is my pleasure to have Ryan Anthenat join me. Good morning, Ryan.
Good morning.
It is morning.
Yes.
It feels morning-ish. It's cold again.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be cold again. It's supposed to be springtime.
It's blowing pretty good out there. So
I saw 12 degrees this morning, and it's already March, but we'll power through, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, it's fun to have you here, Ryan. And, in the tagline, I say that this is a podcast featuring the ministry partners, and the people of Crossview. And
I'm people.
You are people. You qualify, which is, pretty high standard. But also in terms of ministry and whatnot, you are very much involved in the goings on here. And I'd love to talk to you about, just who you are and what you bring to the table and how you've been involved over the years. So, Ryan, introduce yourself and share a little bit about how long you've been at Crossview, and we'll take it from there.
My name is Ryan Anthenat. I grew up mostly in Sycamore, at least from grade school on, and started coming here in junior high. And kind of as I was graduating out of Awanas, I don't know if you graduate out of Awanas, but the church that I grew up in, they had Awanas on Wednesday night, and Kyle had just started here, and so he was here on Wednesday night. And so kind of there was a hype around Kyle, and so I started coming for that, and then said, hey, I really like this youth pastor. I have friends here. Can I go on Sunday? And my grandma's attitude was, as long as you're going to church somewhere, you can go wherever you want. And so I kind of started coming here on my own as a junior high kid.
That's great. And I didn't realize that you came in early under Kyle White's youth pastorship. He's had such a great influence on so many of our young people over the years. Him
and Barb were just so much fun, and they were so genuine and just really fun to be around. Like it was so much fun being at their first apartment upstairs and everything, and very physical. Like I feel like we're fortunate we weren't more injured.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a full body. It was a full contact youth group.
All right. Now, did you have Gorgon back in the day?
We had sardines.
I remember sardines.
Yeah, but I mean a lot of broom ball, just a lot of full contact. Football. Just, I mean, it seemed like we were constantly tackling each other and throwing each other around.
That's cool. Well, it's fun to know. Now, did you go through both middle and high school youth group with Carl and Barb and Kyle?
Yes, and actually after high school, I worked with Kyle with the junior high, and I taught Sunday school for a while. I taught junior high Sunday school. It's kind of funny. One day, Andy Olson, who was maybe his first or second time being an elder, came to me and said, "Hey, we realize you're teaching a Sunday school, and you're not a member of the church." And I went, "Oh, I don't have to teach anymore." And he goes, No, now you have to take this membership class. And I said, "Oh, okay, this is, that's how they get you."
All right. So you've been here and a member for a long time, much longer than I have been.
And this was my first time.
Okay.
So then I left and went out west and went to Bible school and had other adventures and ended up coming back right at the end of Brad's time here.
Awesome. All right. And Brad, of course, is our founding pastor, Brad Reardon, who is on my short list to have on the podcast.
Good. Yeah, that would be great to hear.
People get to know him, both his ministry currently and his long history with Crossview. Now, one thing I don't know, and we don't have to go down this road, but I didn't know you went to Bible school. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
So I went to Ecola Bible School in Cannon Beach, Oregon, and a guy that I worked with, the assistant director, was from out that way and had gone there at Dixon Valley Camp. And so through him, and he was kind of one of the early guys who sort of talked to me about theology and doctrine and stuff. And so it was just sort of where I was at. It's kind of what it seemed like the right thing to do, and it was getting out there and seeing the world, which I was up for,
Yeah, really cool, and that's good for a young person, right?
Yeah.
But you were drawn back this way and came back to Crossview in Brad's remaining time.
Yeah. Yep.
And in your years, I've only been here, well, I say only, but coming on 9 years. I say that because many people have been at Crossview much longer than that. Yeah. It's a church where people come and they stay, right, for a lot of reasons. But you're one of those people, even though you had a season where you were away, but you've been here much longer than I have. In that time, Ryan, you mentioned you served in the youth ministry. What are some other ways that you have and currently serve at Crossview?
So the kind of the worship has been sort of my longest, for lack of a better word, my longest gig. And I've done some stuff with facilities, but really haven't been involved with that. Lately, I served on the search team with you for getting Pastor Matt in here.
Yeah, it was the worship pastor role that you and I led the search team. You were a member of it, and I think that's where, I knew you, but we got to know each other in that context really well. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, it was fun serving together. It was a fun team.
Yeah. It was, right. And I know you as like sort of the worship team guru. Like you do a lot of stuff. Primarily, I see you playing bass guitar on the worship team, but also you're behind, is it soundboard, video
the
board,
soundboard,
or light board? You're doing sound.
Yeah. I'm not a computer guy. And so kind of as those things have gotten more computer advanced, I know enough about computers to get in trouble. And so I'm able to push the button and advance the slides. But if something goes haywire, you'll see me get up, move over, get out of the way, so one of the Daves can come
in and
fix it.
Well, I'll have to talk more about
Carl,
more about the Daves and the Carl.
Yeah.
One of my goals is to have Carl and Dave on here to talk about
excellent. Are you going to have them together?
Yeah, I'm going to put another mic in here. No, I think they're a team, really. That's wise. We have super talented people here who are able
and dedicated
to run things.
People.
And you're on a great team. Right,
yeah.
And it's been a stable team for a long time. Not that you have, and there have been new people who have come on. I think about Bobby Ray back there, right? Who have come on, and Dan is helping with the lights.
Well, I love that legacy because I think I learned to do the soundboard as a kid in high school. Or just coming out of high school and just sort of, okay, how do I serve? What do these buttons do? And now I'm kind of getting to show Bobby stuff and
one of the things you mentioned to me, and I've seen this too, is that you really have an ear for sound, right? And so sans the computer stuff, when you're working with the soundboard, you really know what you're looking for, right?
It's kind of I know what I like, and so I just try to make it how I like, and I seem to get positive feedback from that. So, yeah,
I'll tell you, it sounds better than ever. The audio quality of what's happening on a Sunday morning, it's very, very good. We don't have a huge room, but we have a big enough room where there are certain challenges, right?
Yeah. And it's not the room wasn't designed as a live venue, and there's I mean, you can spend millions of dollars building a room specifically for live music, but we got what we got, and we have to make that work. And it's been it's been baby steps, but it's been years of baby steps add up. You start getting somewhere, and so we've got the acoustic paneling up, and now that we're to a quiet stage, we don't have guitar and bass amps all making a racket.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So rather than having guitar and bass amps, do we have them plugged directly into our system? How does that work?
No. Well, okay. So that is a way you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
And there are churches where they'll have a guitar amp in a back room in a sealed closet with a mic on it, so that the guitar player can get that specific noise. We don't do that. We just go through some effects pedals and straight into the board.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Right, and it works.
And it's the stuff you can do digitally. Basically, any working musician, instead of hauling an amp around, they just have some sort of amp simulation pedal, or even on their laptop they'll do it. So
yeah, right. So I imagine that mitigates a lot of feedback issues, a lot of like sound control issues.
Yeah, and
things like
there's
that.
a lot of consistency. Hopefully there's a lot of consistency.
Yeah, right. So I mentioned you play bass guitar. How long have you played bass, and how did that start for you?
I originally, of course, I wanted to be a drummer, and I thought I was gonna get a drum set, and then in '98, right after I graduated from high school, went and saw The Who at an outdoor venue that's name has changed about 5 times. But anyways, and so this was years before John Entwistle passed. And if you know who John Entwistle is, and you know who the Who are, then you know. And there was just something about him, the power of his playing coming like through the ground, and seeing his hands on the amphitheater where something in my brain clicked, and was like, okay, all right. And so went out and got a bass shortly after that.
That's cool. Did you take bass lessons? Are you self-taught?
I've had a few lessons. I've done quite a bit of reading, but the main thing was just to play with other people.
Very cool.
So I kind of all of the above, I'll say.
Really nice. Yeah, that's cool. Well, that's neat, and it's so cool how it leads to you having pretty consistent way to serve. We have another bassist or two in our regimen at this point, right? And
everybody is multi-jobbed.
Yeah.
Tara also does sound. She's on the ball with the Pro Center. She's one of the people I'll get out of the way and let her fix the
She
slides.
understands the technical end of those things. Yeah.
And then Chris does a decent job of sound, but I don't think he does it a lot because he's also playing electric guitar,
right,
or acoustic guitar. We're just blessed with people who are talented and devoted. Excuse me, and for lack of a better term, just professional. Just they're fun to work with, and they want to. Everybody wants to, get the ship into the harbor together. So
cool.
It's good.
One of my reflections to someone recently was, Crossview is a church where we're not so big that you get lost in the mix, but we're not so small that you can't do fun stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so we're just the right size where we're blessed with, enough budget and enough people to have a rotation like that, and to have nice equipment to do good things to make it really beautiful, right?
Yeah.
But we're not so small that we're lacking budget or lacking people. So many places I've been, you just don't have bench strength,
Yeah.
And so it's always the same person doing the same thing week in, week out. And that's fine. I appreciate faithful service. I really do. But it's so fun that the worship team even gets to experience some variety, that you can be behind the board one week, that someone else, a very capable musician, can be playing, bass or electric guitar like Chris,
Yeah.
right? And also, this is just random reflection, but the drummers we have here are beyond the pale. I mean, really good.
It seems to be either feast or famine with drummers. And right now we're in a season where we got Ben, we got Rory, we got Carl, and now we got Nolan.
Nolan is not bad.
Way to go, youth pastor search team. That
was one of the requirements. Be an able musician in some way, right?
Yeah.
I kid, but no, it's really fun that we have so many great people. But then we have the long-standing folks who have been on. Dave Graham, who's so able to do the technical and the musical and both piano, guitar. I think he favors playing guitar, but he's such a wonderful pianist as well, right? So what a great team. So I know this answer, so it's somewhat disingenuous, but what are some of the biggest changes that you've seen on the worship team over the past few years?
Oh, boy. So, I mean, you go all the way back to like when we were in Hopkins Park.
Oh, my.
And it was, you had to put everything up and take everything down, every service. You'd get out of church and there would be people in their bathing suits filing in and getting into the locker rooms as well. Yeah. But yeah, you had a core group of guys when I was a kid. Phil Ross, Brad Osborne, Dave Graham, who's still here. I can't remember this one drummer's name, but he was here for a while. He ended up, the last I heard, he was going down to Nashville. And then, of course, you had Paul Rogers. For so long, Paul Rogers was here leading and just a great guy to work for and work with. When we had, I'm just going to put quotes in the air and say the difficulties, which is something we were talking about before the podcast, but when we had the difficulties, Paul Rogers learned to play the drums.
Yeah, he was good.
Because a certain pastor did not want piano and didn't want, had a very opinionated about what he wanted the music to be. And Paul Rogers' answer was, well, I'll learn the drums. and I will always just be in awe of that. And like, I think like the second time I played with Paul Rogers and he was on the drum set, I turned to him and I said, you're really good. like you're one of the...
he was just an all-around musically talented person. He was classically trained in piano, but had an ear and had abilities. Right?
And he worked.
Right.
He worked hard. Right. So, I mean, he put in whatever you got to do to know how to play the drums after 2 weeks. He did it.
That's awesome. More recently, 3 years ago, almost the dates, the world closed down.
Yeah.
And everything changed for quite a long time.
Right.
And I think that has had what will be permanent residual effects. And of course, I'm referring to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Right.
And I'm cheesy. I have Facebook, and I would look at my memories. And it was 3 years ago yesterday I had packed my box from work to bring everything home for what I thought would be about 2-3 weeks or so, which ended up being much longer than that.
Yeah.
But what were some of the changes that happened because of the pandemic, some of the changes that were made, and some of the things that remain different as a result?
Well, so it was a long stretch of not playing with anybody. Because I mean, once we started streaming, it was like Jeff from home and Matt from home, and then maybe somebody doing announcements or a family saying hi and doing the announcements. So I mean, it was just a long time not to get together and not to play together and not to play for people, which I'm not a fan of. I don't. Let's not do that again.
That was
ever.
awful. Yeah.
But coming back, like we had to learn to live stream, and like I said, I'm not the computer guy, but I'm definitely in those guys' corner. I'm definitely a fan, and just to see how quickly they got up and running, and got that off the ground. The other thing is the outdoor worship. I really hope that we're going to do outdoor worship consistently. Like,
that was a change that we didn't expect that ended up actually working out really well.
And I'll say, because we were talking about the quiet stage and and how that's good, to have that quiet stage and having that consistency. As a guy who started out, seeing John Entwistle, I really like going outside, getting a bass amp, standing next to a drummer who's
rocking out.
It's a lot of fun, and it's something different. It's something that people get excited about in a different way and everything. So
it has been fun. I believe we're going to continue to do it. There are some designs on perhaps a new pavilion down the road.
I may know some things about sound systems and things that are being looked at.
Awesome. That's exciting. And you mentioned live streaming. That's a big change too. That was not happening previously, but we're in good hands with folks. One of the things I want to talk about before we run out of time is a little bit of your testimony, and you mentioned some things regarding recovery and whatnot. Can we talk about that? I know it's a big jolt, but I don't want to miss that.
So my childhood just had some bad situations, just some bad stuff. And so starting in high school, and really like my first job, and being left alone unsupervised with other people my own age, it's kind of the first time another 15-year-old hands you a cigarette and then hands you a beer and then hands you a joint, and I took to that stuff like a duck to water, and nobody ever had to teach me how to drink to excess. I like from the from go, I was on it. Anyways, and so I ended up praying and having some dramatic stuff that happened in high school, and I took a long break from using, but never dealt with any of the childhood stuff.
The underlying issues.
The underlying issues. And so then years later in my 20s, I threw my back out at work one day, and so friends of mine were like, "Oh, you're laid up, have a joint." And that led to almost 10 years or something of relapse and using and maintaining, in quotes. And so at some point I decided I wasn't having fun anymore. I decided to quit. And once I saw that I'd made this decision, but I was doing the opposite of what I decided on, I decided that's when I'm like, okay, there's a problem. And so I used to go when my work schedule allowed it. I went to the men's prayer here, and one morning, and Andy Olson was there, Pastor Paul was there. So one morning I just said, "Hey guys, I want to quit everything cold turkey." And a couple weeks later, I find myself sitting in a Teen Challenge facility in Peoria. I would be there for 4 months, and then I would be in Cape Girardeau at the men's center down there for another 10 months. The breakthrough for me was that I had a root of bitterness in my heart, that I had this unforgiveness towards people in my family, towards people that had screwed up my childhood.
Sure.
Just, and so my way of dealing with that was not dealing with it and staying high. Let's see. Yeah, so, that's it. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's helpful to know your context. I'm just curious where you found Jesus and all of that, and where your relationship with the Lord went as a result, and what was that journey like?
Like I said, it was that root of bitterness.
Yeah.
And just the idea that that I'm forgiven. That God has made a way for me to know Him and to be reconciled to Him, but then I'm going to take things and I'm going to hold it against you. It doesn't work, and it doesn't lead to healthy functioning.
Yeah.
And so the way that manifested for me was I stayed high.
Yeah.
Because if I didn't, then there's all these feelings and anger that are right under the surface.
The word dissonance comes to mind,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You're trying to live for Jesus, but you can't.
Yeah.
Because you have this underlying current that needs to be reconciled.
And this is probably way oversimplifying things, but what I observed when I was in treatment or recovery with these other guys was the two extremes. Was you had guys who were running from something, so they had some pain, some trauma in the past that they were using drugs and alcohol to keep themselves away from, and then you had other guys who are running after something, like just that first time that they got high was just so awesome that they keep using to try to get back, and I'm definitely in the I had this pain, and to avoid processing it, to avoid dealing with it, I'm going to stay high.
Well, we're so blessed to have you here, Ryan, and I'm so glad Jesus rescued you, and that I know once you're in recovery and coming out, that's always part of who you are in the past and whatnot. But here you are now. Right?
Yeah, and it's part of my story. But my thing is, I don't want that to define me. For so long, being someone on drugs defined who I was. That now that I'm free of that, like that's my history. That's not my story.
Yeah, amen. Yeah.
That's probably so on a T-shirt or something somewhere.
I think that might be the title of this podcast.
Okay, all right, cool.
I'm going to capture that and
nailed it.
We'll call it
all
that.
Right.
Just real quick in closing, if you were trying to talk to a friend about coming to Crossview, how would you describe us?
They got a really good bass player. I would say it's a good church with wonderful people, a great pastor who's just a dynamic speaker, and also a place where if you're interested in, you can find a place to serve and be involved.
Ryan, you said it so well, and I just want to thank you for sharing your heart, sharing what you do here, and for being such a vital part. And you're also fun in congregational meetings. Well, that's a wrap for us today. I want to thank you for joining us for the Crossview Commons. Our services at Crossview are at 9 a.m. and 10:45, and both of those services stream live online. And if you want, you can watch a recording of the services, usually a day or so after that Sunday. If you want more information on Crossview, don't wib it, but please visit our website at crossviewefca.com.